And this is a bad chart for that because there's no profits to be taken yet. But again, when the chart is over here and you have these things to that are available, because you need 2 points of interest. You need a high and a low that's established, right? So as soon as you get that, then you can draw these on here. And as this ticker starts going, you can watch this and you can go, oh, look, I need to take profits right there. That's pretty fucking close. You know what I mean? So this is a good tool to set stop losses and stuff like that. And we were kind of talking about that earlier. When you see that you're approaching a Fibonacci retracement line where you need to take profits, you can take that and then resume your trade. And this doesn't apply to this part, but then you'll retrace here down to here, and you'll get your next line to take profits or to buy back in. So anyway, learning those tools and getting them, like I said, that's kind of a bad chart right there to do that. You'd probably have to line it out and use other technical indicators like we were doing here. This is a short term, this is a long trend, so we were kind of doing this earlier on this as it was happening. I think this was the longest candle in this chart. This is the longest candle in the chart when I charted this earlier when we were looking at percentages. So a 4% trade from baseline. This was support, this red line. So, and the support goes all the way back from here. But anyway, I digress. What I'm saying is learning these skills that we're developing daily in here, and also, people were bringing, really good information like the Alchemics and this type of a tool, which I've just been exposed to because I'm not a day trader. I know how to chart, but I'm not a day trader by any means. And this is a day trader tool because you can trade this several times on a small thing. You can make 8% here, rebuy in. You can make another 6% here, ride that through, get out here, then
right,
realize realize your gains when it goes back up. Yeah, exactly. It's like a stock like Alu that has a lot of momentum in it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could make 50,
what the best part was
50% on your trade in one day,
exactly,
rather than holding and then going, oh shit, look, I was up here, I should have got out. Where would you get out? How do you know this is the top? You're going to be going like, fuck, yeah, keep going.
What was really most nasty? You could literally see the market sentiment in Discord. You could see people had FUD. You saw, okay, now it's time to buy because the FUD is in, Then people started coming back in. It's pretty nasty, but
that's what I was talking about, right? Yeah. Earlier, did you hear me say that? Like, you can see the emotion in the chart. This is all human emotion. This is not, this is a lot of other things too. I mean, let's not kid, but basically triggers, these are emotional triggers, and it's either bullishness, it's either, exuberance, or it's doubt, or it's greed, or it's, all these things. These are all human emotion indicators. It's gonna go in a cycle. We learn how to chart it, and we learn how to, how to trade without emotion, because we don't need to have emotion while we're doing this, because we're doing it for work. You know what I mean? So anyway, long story longer, we start resuming these trends and being able to realize these profits and our zones to take profits. Then you can start using those protocols in advance and get ready for the bear market. So when the blood's all in the street, you can go out and pick up really cheap projects and create a foundation for wealth, in the next cycle. So that's when you're going to get you're going to get exponential gains at that point. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm not the best one at charting. That wasn't the best chart to chart right there, but when it does work, it fucking hits so perfect, and it does it almost every time, like I said. But I found two. I found a chart last night, and obviously that chart. But what chart was that?
Can I ask a few questions, guys?
XRP. Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a few questions. One of them regarding the trade, the graph, and another regarding alchemics. So with the graph, do you need to pay? Are there any free charts like that? So you can see Fibonacci, you could see RSI. You could have a look at the candlesticks and just analyze it with tools, or is it necessarily you have to pay yearly subscriptions for this?
You can get a free membership to try it out for like 30 days. But I'll
That's
tell you
perfect.
what,
That's when the
yeah,
bull run ends. Can I do
yeah,
that? I
hopefully
actually love to day
not.
trade, so
Hopefully
maybe I
not.
need.
I'm looking for March. I know it's going to pull back by March. At least I think it will pull back by March because it's always Bitcoin bull season or bear season in March. So just
March. You're
if you go
kidding.
back on no, if you go back on the charts, Bitcoin always has a bad month in March, man. It's really, really all-time low, $3,000 after the bull run Bitcoin halving last
Well,
time.
surely
So
this
March.
bull run is not going to last until March. I mean, if it lasts until the
I
end of
don't
this
think
month,
it's
I'll be happy. Or maybe at least December. I mean, that'd be amazing.
okay, but here's the thing: is since May, another $1 trillion has floated into this market. So I think um, we're going to see a similar pattern as last time, but there's more structure now and there's more diversity now, right? Since the last bull run, and we've had a lot more of those institutional investors injected into the market. You see what I'm saying? And the retail investors are getting smarter. I think that's going to lead to a bull run or an altcoin season or whatever that you want to call it, um, that lasts a little bit longer, but maybe it doesn't have such high peaks. You know what I'm saying? Because
What Benjamin
everybody's
Cohen was saying, the prolonged Bitcoin halving cycle, and just instead of having this crazy blow of tops, you'll get a longer, more sustained period of, I guess, growth, right? So because we haven't really seen, this is not an altcoin season, is
well,
it? I mean,
yeah.
this is just high-level growth.
I don't know what Ben's saying, but that was my thesis. You know what I mean? So if he agrees with me, I appreciate it. So
So can I just, well, obviously, I don't think I've made enough money. Obviously, I want to hope that it's gonna last for at least another month too. I mean, the longer it lasts, the better it is,
I
Um,
think the indicators that it could, um, we could have a longer cycle, and one of them is I think that we haven't had a blow off top. We haven't, and only a couple things have really ran. But here um, you know, we're looking at the year is going, we're going through the year, and the cycles are going through the cycles, and everybody's seeing the anticipation and whatever, and Bitcoin's not reacting, uh, you know, uh, like a scared runaway train or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's actually really stable after reaching all-time high. They didn't kneecap it. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to bring a lot more comfort in the market. Like a lot of people are getting onboarded. We got Burger King and McDonald's releasing NFTs in the mainstream. What? You know what I mean? We're not at mass adoption, but we're getting closer. The video game market, like I've been saying, and I agree with Damien, the video game market, there's a billion point three of us. You know what I mean? And as soon as we learn I switched it from that, but this stuff over here for UFOs, like Metaverse, Launchpad, you know, uh, and the like, um, the launch pads, and play to earn, and launch pads onboarding games and bringing play to earn dynamic into the ecosystem. Where else can you play to earn? You know what I'm saying? Steam, you can't play to earn on Steam. You know, well,
well, I
as soon
think
as
Steam. Oh no,
okay, I'm
sorry.
not trying to talk about Steam. I'm just using that as an example. Okay, I love Steam. I'm a member of that community, but I'm telling you, I go there to pay to play games. You know what I mean? Like there are free to play games, but there's no play to earn games, right? So as soon as this dynamic gets moving, and more gamers are enticed to play better games that are built on the blockchain, and I think it's coming, because look at the market cap of game companies. Star Citizen, one of the most one of the most audacious attempts at creating a metaverse in the history of gaming.
So good.
That's $360 million, bro. And these companies here, we're seeing billion-dollar gaming companies. Iluvium. I'm not, well, I guess I can't type tonight. Sorry.
Would you please send me the link to the trading tools? What you're using for the graphs to analyze the charts. That's possible. So I could have a look if I could just subscribe myself for a month free trial.
Sure.
Oh no,
yeah.
I was looking at Iluvium for $200 back in June, and I thought it was too expensive. And then obviously, I know what happened then.
Obviously, we missed on this, didn't we, guys? But this is my point. Look at this number right here, almost $800 million market cap. Do you know what kind of game I could make with $800 million? $800 million?
Pretty good one.
Digital world, basically.
You could make it
pretty damn good one, right?
better
And
than
this
any
is not
AAA game, yeah.
This is not the only a AAA game. Yeah, they already have a AAA game.
That's better.
And they still have all that money.
It's gonna be
You know
better
what
one.
I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. You could make 10 AAA games with this amount of money. And that's what I'm saying. So they've got dry powder. These companies have dry powder. Now, if they put it to work, then they're going to rise to the top and whatever. And that's going to create more on-ramping. That's going to, more adoption. More people are going to get exposed to cryptocurrency. And if they don't do it right, with the play to earn mechanisms and stuff like that, and the building in metaverses and programmable NFT gaming, right? So you can take your NFTs from this metaverse to that game to this, and you can display your CryptoPunk, or for me, my Boho Bones avatar, on my character in the metaverse, because there's a screen on my helmet that shows my NFTs flash through it, because your NFT that you're wearing is actually a wallet feature built in. You see what I'm saying? Like we can't even grasp this, because we're standing in front of the wall that is actually the road turned straight up, and that's what we're going to be traveling on. But we can't conceive it yet, because we're at the point of infraction. Okay, it's unrealizable. It's just like, it's going like this along the line, and then just literally straight up. And we're standing right here, and we're looking at this wall straight up. So anyway, as this goes, all the more money, the $1 trillion more that we have in the market cap since the last 5 months, by the way. 5 months. It took us how long to get $2 trillion? And then in
years?
5 months, and then what?
I was gonna say 12 years. Well, since
12,
2009, right?
exactly,
Since the inception of
12,
Bitcoin.
12 years. So when was a trillion? When did we get the first trillion? When did we break a trillion? 2017.
Was it?
Right?
No way. Really? I thought it was 2020. 2017.
Was
Okay.
it 20? I'm asking. Was it?
Oh no, I wasn't
2017?
here that long. I think Damien was. He'd be better suited to enlighten us.
Okay,
if he's
or
here.
we can
No,
just,
I don't know. I wish if I was here back in 2017. I wish I was. My life would be different now. Now I'm only here for like half a year, unfortunately. I just got burned back in May, when everything was so bullish. The sentiment was just like now, and then we're heading for altcoin season, and then everything just went down. So I'm just kind of very aware of what happened. When it happens to you, you're less kind of less hopium and more more like a sentiment towards reality. So yeah.
Okay, that's not a total market. That's not what I was looking at. But anyway, my point on that was, okay, we've onboarded $1 billion, $1 trillion in 5 months. So before that, even if it was 2020, it took us 2 years to do that. That means it took us 10 years, 9 years to onboard the first trillion, 2 years to onboard the second trillion, and 5 months to onboard the third trillion. Okay, is that
Yeah,
is that
hopefully another 3 months, another trillion in, and
exactly?
and then we pack our bags and then
Exactly, and
take
maybe
everything
we
out, go on Alchemix, and
and do it all again when it
No,
comes
that's
around.
the plan. Like, I can't wait for the bear market. It just, I need to make sure I sell everything. I need to sell all my bags, and then I will be welcoming. I don't think bear market should be feared. I think it should be welcomed. It's just
It's
you have to make sure
inevitable.
that
It's like
you
winter
know
time.
you have to make sure
It's
that
like
you're not the
winter
bag
time.
holder. That's like going from the summer, in your swimming trunks, and with the goggles, and in your slippers, and then realizing you're on in the middle of, you guys are in the US, in the middle of Maine somewhere, New Hampshire, and it's freezing.
Definitely.
That's what happens. You're a bag holder. So
Good
When
one.
will the
I'm not
bear
going to
market?
New Hampshire.
sorry.
When you guys think
I'm
the
not
bear
going to New
market
Hampshire.
Oh, you're
will
from New
happen?
Hampshire. Oh wow. Okay.
Say that one more time. Sorry.
When you guys think the bear market will happen? This market cycle.
I'm saying we always have a hard time in March. It's just historical. So we'll see. I don't think that, like, this super cycle or whatever you want to call it is going to be as vertically dynamic, but I also don't think it's going to be as short as it has been. There will be pullback. And from what the charts that I'm looking at or seeing from the people, like Plan B and others who are Crypto Burb. I don't know if you guys know who that is. Um, Literally, probably one of the biggest brains in crypto. You can find him Crypto Burb, BIRB, on Twitter, and the guy, he's brilliant. So every one of his calls is like 8-ball corner pocket, 2-ball side pocket. It's right in there. Like he puts it away. Like no problem. So and what I was thinking was we're looking at a little more stability. We have a couple more pillars in place to hold the roof up before it collapses. So I think it might, we're gonna have the market, a lot of the stuff is going to get pulled out of the market, but I don't think it's going to be as dramatic. So I'm hoping that it's not going to be an 85% pullback, total market pullback. It might be 55, it might be somewhere around there. I'm hoping it doesn't get as bad as 65, just for the ecosystem itself. Not necessarily even for me. I'm going to try to be as smart as I can and do those DeFi tricks like we're talking about, and build up some dry powder for this coming slaughter, to get some good basic bags of some blue chips, and build my wealth from there, or whatever it's going to become. And like I said, I think it's going to be a longer cycle, but it's not going to be as dynamic. So these tools that we're talking about, charting and being able to do what I've never really done, which is like kind of swing and momentum trading, to realize those gains, turn a 7 to 8 percent swing 2 or 3 times a day into 6, 5, 7% profit for myself. 6, 5, 7, 13, 18%. Catching 18% on a day, and that's a sideways trading day. That's not a vertical. Oh, I can get out now. I'm at the top. You know what I mean? This is sideways momentum. This is sideways on consolidation day. You'll be able to pull that out. Go ahead.
I think you need to use these tools. That's the thing. I mean, how much are they if you pay for them? Was it like $100 a year or
For what? For the
for these
TA tools?
for the tools? Yeah, for the technical
But
analysis.
after you get the discount, I think it's like $288 or something like that. What was it?
So I was
None
watching
of us.
Super Farm the past couple hours, and it seems to be tracing back to support to fib. Just wanted to let you know since you're holding that.
Yeah, it's looking like a buy.
Yeah, at
I like that.
Oh,
At what?
awesome.
21.
at 1.5. I sent a screenshot in charts.
Nice. Do we have a charge section? Nice. Look at that.
Yeah, we do.
Dude, look at the amenities are just being added, but moment by moment, dude. This community is going to be amazing. It's been a lot of fun to be here. I'm happy to be here, and yeah, this is fucking going to be awesome, guys.
It's so cool because I just randomly was in Kale's group and I just jumped onto a chat. I don't know why. I usually don't do this. And then I just heard some guys creating. They were like, "Let's go to a different group," and I just came here, and this is way better than 2+2 group.
Right.
Like, I mean, I can't even compare. I mean, it's just people fighting and are they calling Kale a scammer or defending him or whatever, or saying should I buy ALAU or Polk or Polk? There's literally like three things spoken about, whereas here people actually try to learn and teach. And I mean, guys like Damien and I'm sorry, I don't know your names. It's PAX Hat.
PAX Heat, yeah.
PAX Sheet, yeah. Okay. And I remember there was Hancock here as well. I don't know where he went.
He's the man. He'll be back. He just emailed me the other day or hit me up on Discord. So I was like, hey, let's mash it up. And he was like, yeah, fuck yeah. So
Also, do you know
anyway,
Hancock then?
Yeah,
As in, like,
what's that?
No, is it like, do you guys know each other in real life, or did you know each other before this group?
No. I met him in the chat too, but
Okay.
But we definitely had a good exchange, and it was a good time. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with him again because he's a very technical, analysis driven trader, and I'm more of a medium to long hodl trader. I look for fundamentals and do research on teams and projects and find out about things like that. That really drives me, the anatomy of the blockchain and how it fits together and what projects like rely on each other. That interests me, and so I call myself I'm a true believer, man. So I buy into it, and I want to support the areas that I think so support the function, the market effect, the network effect for the blockchains themselves.
Oh, fair
Yeah,
enough.
PAX,
I think
and
it's
I
nice to do
agree.
both.
Yeah, you can definitely do both. Like you can do, I think it's what I say, if you want to do both, you should definitely establish like your long-term hodls. That way you have like a foundation wherein even if your short-term plays don't necessarily pan out as you expect them to, because it is a more volatile game, you at least have your foundation that will do you well in the long term, right? And so,
Yep.
and also furthermore, having the long-term prospects in mind, like you can really navigate and understand the space a lot better than if you're kind of just like chasing highs. And because with highs there come lows, and sometimes what I've seen is people get into the game, they experience some gains, and then it drops and then they leave, right? They're discouraged because they don't really understand what's going on and they don't have the vision, and then they end up losing out. Like I know some people, I got them into mana at like 10 cents this year. It went to like 80, 90 cents a dollar, and then May 19th things crashed and they pulled everything out of crypto, and now
At a
they
loss.
are kicking themselves in the butt, because they didn't believe, they didn't see everything. And that's why I say, like, you should always definitely have your long term, see the vision first, set up your long term, and then go ahead if you want to have fun and be active, and then do the short term stuff. which is I mean, you can do whatever mix, whether you want to do 50-50, your ratio, everyone's ratio is going to be different depending on like their expectations, their time horizons, et cetera, what kind of investor you want to be, how active, how passive, all that good stuff. But that it would be like my general advice with regard to approaching this whole space, because it can be so volatile. And just to speak on whether or not, like, when the bear market will come, unknown. I heard you ask that question. My opinion is that the market is definitely frothy, but we're still pretty fresh, right? Like, there's a big drop. And now with Facebook basically rebranding themselves, that has kind of changed the whole game. There's a lot more eyes in this space. I've gotten a lot of friends who have recently called me who didn't take the metaverse seriously. I had a couple of clients who they'd all invested a lot of money into the metaverse narrative that I had told them about earlier this year. And they had friends who were laughing at them, saying they were going to lose their money, that they can't ever see this thing panning out. And now they are calling them back and saying, hey, dude, you were right. How do I get into this? And these are big money guys. We're talking multimillionaires who are just salivating to get in now, who just not even a year ago were laughing at this space. So that's why I think that this whole narrative of the metaverse and gaming has a lot of capital just sitting on the side, really sitting back and understanding how to intelligently play this game. And so I think that we could and not enter a super cycle, but I do think until about March, I think is a safe bet until we see a dip. And the dip is not going to be, we're going to have a much higher floor because of all the new smart money that is watching and starting to play their hand. But we'll see a dip because a lot of the people doing the short-term game, retail specifically, right? They're immediately right now, everyone's thinking, oh my God, metaverse, am I going to be able to play in the metaverse next month? And like, that's not really the case. Like, we are still very, very early. So I think everyone, while there's a lot of euphoria in the air, they're not even thinking about, oh, can I play? But suddenly now, when things start to settle a little bit, probably after New Year's, they're going to say, okay, so now where do I play? And when there's
No,
not a whole lot to play quite yet, they're going to start selling out. They're like, oh, this is BS, right? I don't see the vision because I can't actually play it. Where in the background, everyone who sees it in a year or two from now is going to reap all of the gains that these people are going to be dumping in the next couple of months. So that's kind of how I see things playing out.
So, Damien, if I was to ask you a question, for example, the best way would be to get, like, set yourself a limit, right? Like, okay, like, this is enough for me, and then take everything out. And even if you miss on some of the gains, just, I don't know, if you, for example, stake it in BlockFi or use Alchemix. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about Alchemix yet, but I will definitely research. Whatever you do with your money, whether it's Tether or DAO, USDC. And then would you try to wait until everything kind of crashes as low as possible? For example, July. I mean, you're never gonna get the bottom, but you know what I mean. And then would you slowly DCA into the market, like metaverse, like pick a region, so for example, or rather an area like metaverse or gaming or DeFi, and try to just, instead of going into too many projects, try to find, like 10 projects, 15 projects, and try to buy them at the dumpster prices. Is that what you would advise, or would you have a better strategy?
No, yeah, that is a very solid strategy, because essentially, like, yeah, trying to sell the exact tip top, like, good luck, because typically things go up very fast and they go down very fast. And so, just as you said, yeah, start pinching profits around the top, like, as you go up, and then start to go into like wealth preservation mode, right? And then thereafter, right, when things dip, go ahead and buy everything at a discount, and then just sit tight and keep making bets as it goes up. Generally, what I say is, like, leverage when in a dip, right? So when everything dips and it's not going to dip much further, the risk of liquidation is extremely low. So then you can borrow against your assets and start maximizing what you have already in equity without selling, right? And then as it goes up, now you can basically really, really compound your gains because you're using the leverage, very low risk leverage. And as things start to seem like they're at the top, start paying back some of those loans from your gains from pinching, right? Because you're basically just playing with house money at that point, and start transitioning from a leveraged position to a yield position. Like right now at this top, like, I'm mostly just yielding off of everything, which is great because all the yield that I'm getting paid back is much more valuable because the market's at a high. And then when it dips down, whatever, I have way more tokens now. I don't care if they're worth less. And then as it dips down, now I can leverage a lot more at that lower price point and then just keep compounding and just riding this wave. Instead of doing it on a daily or weekly basis, I'm riding literally like quarterly, semi-annually, essentially, if not annually. And with very well risk managed positions. And so also just to comment on alchemics too, I would say you can use DAI, you can use wrapped Bitcoin, and you can use ETH as collateral, but it does take a while for the loans to pay themselves off, right? And if you want to pull your money out, you can, though I wouldn't recommend that. But if you understand Bitcoin, you understand ETH, and you are thereafter long on either of these assets, then it shouldn't matter if you take out a loan against your ETH and it's going to take 4 years to pay itself back, because you're holding it for life, aren't you? And so it kind of forces you to really, really ask yourself, am I long? And if you are, then you have no problem with that. And then you can really start to leverage without any risk whatsoever. But yeah.
So where would you say, I mean, I've really never heard of alchemics, and where would you say to actually research it? Just literally YouTube it and just have a look what some guys are saying, or is there any better source of information?
You can go on YouTube. I have yet to find a whole lot of content on. I don't really watch YouTube personally. I usually just like read the white papers and stuff. But there's some good guys that explain it pretty well, I think. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is, let's say, here's just a scenario, right? Let's say you have 10 ETH. Throw 10 ETH into alchemics, and immediately you can borrow 2.5 ETH. And so now you technically, under your name, under your wallet, you have 12.5 ETH. Okay. And that 2.5 ETH loan is going to pay itself back using your 10 ETH. And so then what you do with that borrowed ETH, you could do whatever the heck you want. You can just gamble it on a bunch of shit coins, right? That maybe 10x, 20x or whatever. And the whole time you've already preserved your initial principal, 10 ETH. And once you really start to play with a lot more, it is just the most powerful mechanism that I've ever seen in DeFi. And it is because it is kind of complex and kind of hard to wrap your head around. And, people kind of think it's suspicious because, the founders are anon, and, it's kind of silly and it seems hard to believe. But if you understand the mechanics and all the different things in DeFi, and you're used to composability, then it is just like one of the greatest financial primitives to really exist on the planet, because the only analog to it would be like a home equity loan. But even that is nowhere near as powerful as something as alchemics. So definitely urge you to look into it. Lots of different resources. We're going to have some here soon. That way everybody here can start to leverage it and use it for themselves, and just grow their capital without having to trigger taxable events or anything like that. Because that's the greatest thing, right? Like if you have 10 ETH and you want to pull some cash or a value out of that, typically you have to sell. But with alchemics, you don't have to, right? You can at least use 25% of it. You can liquidate it into whatever you want, and then go ahead and play without worry of losing that original 10 ETH. And that 10 ETH, is going to be worth a lot more in a couple of years. So it is really the perfect protocol.
Exactly.
Or even if you're even like an options trader, right? And we're at the top of ETH, you think you want to short it right now, right? Let's just say you think we're going to crash next month. Okay, no problem. Or in like 2 weeks, you can go ahead and throw your ETH, preserve it, and then you can go collateralize your borrowed ETH over in like DopeX or any other options trading platform. And even in the event that you're wrong and they take your ETH, well, whatever, you still have your 10 ETH, right? So you've already hedged yourself. You're safe. But if you're right and it does crash, not only do you still have your 10 ETH, but you get to capitalize off of your put, which is pretty fucking great. So, yeah.
I mean, that's very interesting, to be honest with you. This is something that I've never heard of before. And
yeah, it's
if it wasn't somebody like
revolutionary.
you, if it wasn't somebody like you explaining this to me, I would probably think it's a scam, But I've heard you on I think one of the other nights, you came on, and I was really quite taken back by the things that you were saying. So feel like you definitely know what you're talking about. So yeah, anyone else, I would probably say like, what the hell are you trying to sell me, some scam project or something? Because yeah, this does sound almost like it's too good to be true. So if you if I understood correctly, they take your 10 ETH, for example, and that will be locked for a specific period of time, right?
Actually, so they do use your ETH. They basically grab your ETH, they throw it into other yield protocols such as Curve and whatnot, and then that yield that they get using your 10 ETH, they use 90% of that to pay back your loan. So and they take 10% for themselves. So they're actually very incentivized to do nothing more than grab as much ETH as possible so that they increase their 10% piece of the pie. But they want to obviously protect you and make sure you're safe, because otherwise you won't come there, right? You won't go there and they won't make anything. And so because that's their only form of income, they are incentivized to protect you and make sure that you love their protocol just as much as they love it for themselves too. And even more interestingly, their token, Alchemics, right? ALCX. Um, Later on, not yet, because right now, of course, they're funding themselves and whatnot. But as an ALCX holder, you will be entitled to some of the fees, some of that 10% later on. Not unlike, like a regular Class A share where you receive dividends from a company. They're going to distribute fees. So it's not only do you get to use them to preserve your wealth or your position in ETH, your exposure, but you will also later on earn a cash flow from holding their asset. And that's if you buy LCX, which is kind of expensive right now. So
that's
if you're
each.
going to, it's up. Sorry, go ahead.
My bad. Is those fees for each transactions that's generated on the platform?
No. So they're just going to basically because the fee is their 10% fee, their take. They're just going to distribute a portion of that to token holders in the future. Token holders, you could basically is the equivalent of a shareholder, and that's I think a really important thing that I think a lot of people in this space maybe don't have a grasp on, because I think it feels and looks and sounds so much different from like traditional finance, like a stock versus a token. But at the end of the day, the function is very similar. The only difference is that you can do a whole lot more with tokens. And so because I've been investing since I was I've been using simulators since I was like 16 and studying finance since then. And so translating all of that knowledge over to DeFi has made it like really, really easy, because I have like that foundation on which to build not only all of that, but just like with my computer science background and economics background, like all of this is just like obvious. But it's been a very highly like specialized like skill set that I've really invested into with a lot of focus, because I bought Bitcoin a long time ago, and I'm like, okay, all this new stuff, like it is the future. People love money, and if you can program the money, you can do a whole lot of cool stuff to not only control the money but the people too. So it all just works in full circle, and it is really like a beautiful thing.
All right.
If you guys
But
don't
similar.
mind me interrupting for just a sec, if you check Super Farm right now, PAX, I think it's about to break out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yo,
Oh,
what's up,
and
everyone? Just kind
what's
of
up,
want
Bunzi?
to just chilling, man. Just laying down the knowledge. Love it, Damien. Kind of just wanted to pop in and see how many people want to possibly get the happy hour going or continue the current conversation. We kind of got some request of getting some speakers, and Packy was generous enough to put some stuff together for us. So kind of wanted to see how everyone's feelings were